What's up, everybody? We're back out here today with the TL. So if you've seen in the past on my prior build with this car, we did an Airlift 3S on this TL. It does not have the controller. 3S runs off of an app, but you do have the option to put a controller in. So that is what we're here to do today, is to put a controller in the TL with the 3S system. You saw the past videos, which I'll leave a link in the description for. The 3S doesn't function great with the app. The app has a lot of errors and crashes. Even if you read the App Store reviews on the app itself, they're all bad. Anybody's experience I've seen with the app hasn't been great. So we're gonna go ahead and put a controller in this. Hopefully it makes the 3S a lot more user-friendly and makes it a better overall functioning system. So let's get into it now, and let's go ahead and get this controller installed on this TL. So here are the parts we're going to need for the controller install. So of course we're going to need the controller for the 3S. You can see this is for the 3S. That is the part number right there. And you are also going to need the appropriate wiring harness to do the controller with the 3S. Now, when you get the 3S, it does come with a wiring harness. I'll leave a video right here of what that 3S harness looks like. Now, the only difference between the 3S harness that functions with the app versus this controller harness is this has the appropriate USB to plug up to the controller. Other than that, these are basically the same harness. You still have to make your own wiring harness. This is not a plug and play like the 3P wiring harness. We did make the wiring harness for this car in the TL bag build, which I'll leave a link in the description for below. Now, right here are the 3 wires essentially that we're going to be using. It is the same as the original harness, which is of course just a 12 volt positive, a 12 volt ignition source, and of course a ground. So really we're just going to be replacing the 3 wires in the existing setup with these, running this wire up to the front of the car and getting this controller installed. Other than that, there's not too much we have to do because we do already have the harness built. So here is the part number for this 3S harness. So let's go ahead and get this new controller harness wired in with our existing harness. So let's get into it now, guys, and let's get this controller installed. All right, guys, so as you can see, we got the back seat out here. We got access to everything, all the wiring and the pre-existing harness. So as you can see, I've unplugged the old harness. I ran it out. We got access to it right here. So there's our harness. So really all we need to do now is trace all of our wires, and we're going to replace our 3 main wires that power this harness with the new harness. So we're going to go ahead and start disassembling this so we can go ahead and wire in the new harness. So let's get this old harness out now, guys. All right, guys, and we have the original app harness out. So if you have this, installed in an easy, accessible spot, organized, cleanly installed, it shouldn't be that hard to remove it if you don't have everything buried. As you can see, it was pretty easy for me to pull it out. It's really just 3 wires. So we'll compare this to the controller harness real quick. So let's get these next to each other. So here is the controller harness. Here is the original harness. And like I initially stated, we have our 3 wires here, just like we have 3 wires here. And the only difference is this remote wire coming out of the harness. So as you can see, essentially they are the same thing, still wired the exact same way. So when you have a harness pre-built, it's going to work with either harness, regardless if you want to use the remote harness or the original app harness. So let's go ahead and get this remote control harness wired up and installed in the car so we can go ahead and get this controller working, guys. Guys, so we do have the new harness all wired up. It's got our 3 wires wired in, got our ground that I utilize on a stock ground, got the ignition wired in to where I had it originally, got our 12 volt wired into a wire coming from the distribution block like we had originally. Harness is plugged up, got our cord here all plugged into the controller. All right, so the controller's plugged up. So what I want to do now is, before I put all this back together and put the seat in and run this wire, I do want to make sure it works. So I do want to go ahead and do a trial run, see if we can get this controller functioning, because it is completely wired in now. There should be no reason it doesn't work. So let's go ahead and start the car up and we're going to see where we're at. All right, guys, we're in the TL. Time for the moment of truth. This is always the fun stuff. So let's see how we're looking here. Start this beauty up. All right, there we go. Power to the controller came on. Now, if I remember correctly, I do believe the screen just stays as this. So we'll give it a second. I do think it just stays as this with the 3S logo, and then from here we can do whatever. The car is currently aired up, so I think I'm gonna just go ahead and, yep. If you guys can hear that, that is responding. Oh yeah. Yeah, we got power, guys. This is awesome. So let's go ahead and dump it, see if we can air out. Oh yeah. I don't know if you guys hear all that, but yeah, she's working. All right, guys, so we have confirmed power. Looks like she is functioning. So let's go ahead and get this wired in cleanly, correctly, get everything hidden and put back together nicely. So let's go ahead and finish this install. All right, guys, so if you can see, here is our harness wire. We just have to get it to the front of the car. So if you can see, this is where I have the 4-gauge power wire and our ignition wire running originally. It's all nicely hidden. Take it to the front here, all cleanly hidden under that channel. Factory wiring under the carpet there. So all we're going to do is trace that up. Same thing we did the first time, but we're just going to include that remote wire now. So let's go ahead and get that thing ran, guys. All right, guys, the wires officially ran. As you can see, we got it all cleanly tucked under this channel, under the rug, like we did initially with the other wiring. Everything's tidied up here. We can go ahead and bring it up here to the front. You can see everything's under the channel. Everything's nicely hidden. I got to put the kick panel on here, but everything's cleaned up. And then we got the wire coming right out of here up to the controller. Okay, so basically controller will be right here. We can have it in the center console. It could be right here to use. We can put it in the pocket, you know, whatever we want to do here is possible with this setup right here. So we should be good. All we got to do now is put everything back together, guys. All right, guys, the car is back together. As you can see, we have all our panels popped back in. All right, let's get in the car. Let's go ahead and give it the final test run. We're gonna make sure this bad boy comes on. So let's go ahead and start the car up. It does take a few seconds for this to generate on. There it is. Okay. So we have power, guys. Let's just see. Yep, I can hear her moving. Yep. So this is what the 3S controller looks like. Okay, so you're not going to see anything specific on this controller. You know, we still have our presets. I can still air out, air up, you know, hit the dump on each corner, hit the air up on each corner. All of this is functional, but this is not like the 3P. We're not going to see any of the pressures on the screen. It's not going to show us anything. But what I do want to do is just see if there's any settings. So if you do the center button and the middle up button right here, press them at the same time, it should bring you to a menu. On the 3P, there are quite a few settings in here. Looks like there is not much in here at all. So it just has an about section, the display, nothing really too spectacular here, guys. So really this is what you're going to see. I'm gonna go ahead and air out. You can hear she is dumping. The controller's very responsive, so this is, you know, much better than the app. The app, sometimes you got to hit it 3-4 times. It periodically freezes, you know, things of that nature. So as far as I see, this functions way better than the app, although from what I see, you still need to utilize the app to set all your presets. So with the 3S, you know, this runs off of time. It has a certain time for air in, certain time for air out. I'll show you right here. You will still need to utilize the app to set all these presets. There's no way to set any of these presets onto the actual 3S controller here, you don't see the same options and, you know, operation settings as you do on the app. So, you know, for any type of modification to the presets, or, you know, you want to see what your times are for dumping or airing up, you need to still have the app installed in order to get that functioning correctly and to have all that set up the way you want it to be. So you still need to utilize the app for certain things, you know, as far as, you know, operation setup and anything of that nature. But, you know, as once you got that set up, I mean, really you can just use the controller from there on out. You know, you can specifically just use this to air up. You don't need to use the app anymore from there on out. So if you ever do want to change any of your presets, you do want to use the app, but other than that, the controller should be fine. You can manage the car, you know, air up, air down, all that good stuff with the controller. So all right guys, so that's it for the controller install. As you can see, we got our 3S controller officially installed into the car. From what I've seen, this is way better than using the app. It doesn't crash, it doesn't have delay. You know, when you hit a preset, it functions how it's supposed to. It's responsive, very similar to the 3P remote in its functionality. So in my opinion, if you're going with the 3S, 100% get this controller. Using the app isn't the best experience in my opinion, so definitely go with the controller. Make sure you check out my other TL bag build parts just so you can see what got us to this point. You can see, you know, the harness build up, you know, what made us want to go with the controller. Also check out the 3P versus 3S video I have, the comparison between the two, so you can get an idea of the different functionalities between the two systems, and, you know, the differences with the controllers and how they look. But that's pretty much it, guys. That wraps up the controller install. If you have any questions or anything of that nature, of course, leave them below. Make sure you subscribe. Stay tuned for some more bag content. Until the next one, guys. Peace.